How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Barely Noticed podcast. I am your host, Sick Boy, along with my co host, Crawdaddy.
Year?
We had our inaugural first podcast last week. I think I'm going to stick with my upload schedule of I normally put my videos up on Friday, so I think we're going to stick with the podcast episodes being on Friday as well, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Also wanted to apologize. Last podcast, still figuring things out. For some reason, my mic was like a crackly, staticky, buzzy, weird sound, which I have no idea why it did that. It's a brand new mic. Everything was plugged in right. Whatever, it's fixed. And for some reason, we were super quiet too, and I feel like I had adjusted the audio levels well enough, and evidently not. So, those are fixed. Hopefully, this sounds better and you won't have to max volume us.
Yep.
For today's episode, Crawdaddy and I, Tyler, had discussed about like every episode kind of having a topic. And then as I've delved deeper into the podcast world, there's a lot of big podcasts that they don't do that. Like Joe Rogan's on probably episode 15 million, and he'll have Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and they talk about like different flavors of Cheetos. So
Pretty much.
it's just kind of wherever the wind takes us. Maybe we'll have something that we are like aiming towards or we start with. I'm not going to say the entire episode is like that. I mean, last episode we talked about our beginnings, and then the episode ended with Tyler talking about his distaste of the new Star Wars series, Acolyte.
Yeah. Ugh.
So
Don't get me started again. I'll start again,
Yeah,
bro.
he's
Don't do this.
very tightly wound. So we're gonna leave that. That will be another episode. We'll get back to that because him and I can nerd out about
I
Star
could
Wars.
spend 4 hours on it. Don't
Yeah,
even.
we could
Okay.
spend. We're the kind of guys that watch the hour and a half YouTube video essays on Star Wars. We're those guys. We can handle that conversation. But today, Crawdaddy and I actually work together in real life, and we were talking about, since last episode was our beginnings, talking about how we started YouTube and things. This episode, we should try sharing like stories from our childhood or talking about our childhood. It might be interesting to some people, especially because we're from the South and not everybody's from the South. I know different states are very, very different. Like there was a period of time where I lived out west and I have family that lives out west, and it's like a totally different ball game. So maybe some stories may be more interesting that way. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. But what made me think of this especially is I'm gonna get him to retell the story. Do you want to tell them the story you told me earlier about your grandfather?
I mean, yeah.
I
Whatever you
think
want me
it's
to.
so funny. Maybe it's not as funny to other people because I've known Tyler forever, and him telling me the story. I don't. Just go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Okay, so this was about like 2 years ago, Christmas Eve, and in our area at least, it is probably the coldest day, and it was like 20 years or something like that. It was like ridiculously cold. And my grandpa, who's pretty much estranged, he he also had a stroke a while back. He can't walk or anything. He drives, I think it was like 8 miles in like a little Walmart scooter to our house, uninvited, just shows up. And we literally like, what the fuck are you doing here? So we literally have to like open the door. We're like, hey, and he's like, and we had to kind of just like pick him up and put him in, and it was a whole ordeal. And he's not all there. So let's just say when he got in, he started calling everybody by the wrong names. My grandma, who had passed away like a few months before, he
Oh,
goes, "So how's she doing?" And we were like, "Dude,
oh,
she's passed away for like a few months now." He's like, "Oh." And then my dog, who had been dead for like 3 years, he goes up to my brother and he's like, "So, Brody, how do you feel that your dog's dead?" And we were like, "What?"
oh gosh, just hitting all of the wrong marks. So it's the
It was
coldest
like,
winter in forever. And then when you say scooter, are you talking about like a Vespa scooter or like scooter like someone uses what kind of
in
scooter?
Walmart,
Okay,
like
that's what I
in
thought.
Walmart, kind of
Yeah,
little
yeah.
basket.
Through
Man,
it was snowing, right?
it wasn't snowing. It was like just
It
one of
was
the
just super
coldest
cold.
days. Like
Okay. And
if it had rained, it would have been snow.
he's from a neighboring town that is to drive that distance on a scooter like that to get to Tyler's place. That is
Hours.
Yeah, like
Literally like
actually,
half the day.
that would take a super long time. And I want you to tell him the story about what he does with the rocks.
Oh my lord. Okay, this I'm telling you, man, this dude is like off his rocker. Anyways, we take him home, and I'm like stumbling in his house, and there's a bunch of rocks on the floor, and we're like, and I asked my dad why was the rocks, and he's like, apparently he goes around and steals random rocks out of people's yards and puts them in his basket and goes and paints them in his house. Like when I'm talking about rocks, I'm talking like the big ones that are like in the little like custom riverbeds. And
Oh
I'm
my
literally like trying to
gosh.
move. I'm trying to move stuff in his house. I'm like falling over, dude. It's like a hoarder house. Like my ankles are getting ripped up. I'm like, bro, it's Christmas
Oh my
Eve, dude. What is
gosh.
happening?
So I don't know if we want to say, do we want to say his name or no? Because we don't have to say it. I
Uh,
could pick something similar to it for
you can go
just,
similar. Go similar.
okay. So let's say his name is Kenny. So Kenny goes around to people's yards in the town that he lives in and steals rocks out of their yards and then takes them home to paint them. That is it. He doesn't try to resell them. There's no like rhyme or reason to it. That's just what he does. And I told Tyler, I think it's so funny that at some point it's one of the police officers' jobs that lives in that town that when they see him, they're like, dang it, Kenny, stop stealing the rocks, Kenny.
Yeah.
And because he's kind of, lost it a little bit from the stroke or whatever else. And then he's an older guy. It's like, they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to
Yeah.
lock him up or something like that. So it's just like, it's a long night. This cop's been working a long day dealing with punk kids, sucky people who are disrespecting the police. It's probably 12:30 at night. He's rolling home finally in his cruiser, and out of the edge of his headlights, he just sees this old man bent over, just stealing rocks from people's yards. He's like, "Dang it, Kenny! How many times do
Yeah.
we have to tell you?" Like the fish from SpongeBob. How many times do we have to
Yeah.
teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah, he's something else, man. It amazes me. He's the last one of my grandparents that are still alive.
And
Like,
it just I've known Tyler for, like we've said, 15 years, and I've heard him tell me the story about the Christmas of him just randomly showing up. I have never heard him tell me the story about him with the rocks, which I'm sorry, but it's funny. It's funny.
oh, it's hilarious.
Um, and everybody's got relatives like that. No one's family's perfect. Mine sure as heck isn't. Tyler's isn't. And it's just like funny little stories like that where maybe in the moment you might be like sad or something, and then you can look back on it and be like, okay, that's pretty funny. And then also, uh, what was it you said he gave you for Christmas too?
Oh my, the little infomercials that like sell coins like late at night and they're not real, they're not like the real coins. They're like all fake, whatever. He just randomly pulls like handfuls out of his pocket and he's like, "Here you go, Merry Christmas," and just like showers me in them. They're falling out of my hands. And then Brody was like, "Oh, that's nice." He's like, "Oh, I got some for you," and he pulls more out and starts giving him some. It's just
All
so
those
random.
like those I mean, I don't want to say useless, but like the commemorative coins you see on like Cartoon Network, you probably saw, or
Yeah.
if you're watching like the Hallmark channel, like the old people channel, it's just, oh my gosh, that story is just the gift that keeps on giving. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's a wild night.
But also because I'm listening through the Misfits podcast right now, because they don't still do episodes anymore, but I started at one and I was listening through. They were talking about childhood stories and things, and they were discussing like their very first memory that they thought of as a kid, or like times where they got hurt, or like crazy things that happened. And that made me really try to think back of like the very first memory that I can think of. I think there's like a Louis CK bit where he's like, everybody like people say when you gain consciousness, like when you finally were like, aware of things, he said it's called coming
Yeah.
online. Like everybody had that moment where you finally came online. And the two that I can think of, so I was born in Georgia, lived there for like a year or two. My dad was in the military. Then we moved out to Montana, lived there for 2 years, 2 or 3 years. And then I got here to North Carolina, and I started going to school in the first grade. So I grew up here. Me and Tyler grew up together, whatever. And the earliest memory that I can think of is when we were living in Georgia. There's two of them. One of them, Did you ever have, or have you ever seen those things where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to explain this. Like you sit down on like a big circle, like a disc, and there's a smaller disc in the middle, and you like turn it with your hands and it makes it
Oh
spin.
yeah,
So I used to
yeah.
have one of those when I was really little, and I remember it being in the living room of my house in Georgia. And I remember that that night we were having dinner, I was playing on that sort of thing, and then we had Papa John's. And I remember eating Papa John's, like having a slice of pizza and then getting on that thing and like spinning around. And then on a lesser high note, when I was that same age, super young, we had an above ground pool where we lived. And I was messing around doing something next to it. My mom was out there, and I had like this big metal water bowl that you would have for your dogs or your pets. And I was filling it up with water and dumping it out. And I just thought it was so cool to look at the water going in and out and stuff. So my mom walked away to go do something, and I filled it up, and it ended up getting too heavy, and I fell in, and I
Oh my
like
god.
legit almost drowned. Like I almost died. And my sister, who she's 5 years older than me, so she was probably 7 or 8 at the time, had to like jump in and save me. Like she was the only one that noticed, and she got me out, and like they had to do mouth to mouth and get the water out of me and stuff like that. And I remember like being in the pool and how dark it was and things like that. So those are, one of them's a more fun, lighthearted uh moment, and the introduction of capitalism into my life with Papa John's. And then the other one is almost drowning unattended in a pool. So those are my two online moments. Do you have anything, Tyler, where
Ah,
you
nothing special. Like the first memory I have is like sitting in like preschool. I was like probably like 2, and we're like tie dyeing shirts. That's about it.
okay, so that's, yeah, you're not dying in that one. So
Nah,
I'd
I
say that's
haven't
pretty good.
really. I got like a funny story from my brother when he was like real young.
Okay.
He was a big Toy Story. This is Bobby. He's like a big Toy Story kid. Like I think he was 4 at the time, and he had like his Buzz Lightyear like Halloween costume on, and he's like running around the house, and apparently he jumps on the coffee table and just yeets himself off, falls on the ground, breaks his arm like fully, like
Oh
his
my
arm's like
bagosh.
backwards, and they
Oh.
take him to the hospital, and he's on that like they're fixing him up, put him on the laughing gas, and they're like the nurse asked him, "Why'd you fall?" And he's like, "My wings didn't pop out."
Oh my gosh. And if you guys knew he's got two brothers, Brody and Bobby. Bobby is just like, it's just such a Bobby thing to have happen. He would be a great guy if we had him on this one day. I'm sure Bobby's got like
Oh yeah,
literally
stories, dude.
infinite stories, like infinite
Dude, he
story
has a
glitch.
lot. Dude, for example, he worked for like a carpet cleaning company, and he cleaned Lil Yachty's grandma's house. Like just weird stories like that.
Yeah, what, tell him that, how like the lady showed him the picture and stuff.
Yeah, he goes in, and there he was like, "Dang, this is like a nice house." And he's like cleaning the carpet, and the grandma's talking to him. He's like, "Yeah, this is my grandson," and like shows him like a young picture of Lil Yachty and her, and it's like
What are
it's
the
just the funniest
odds
thing.
that that would ever
Yeah.
happen? And then didn't you say something about he cleaned like the baby's producer's
Oh
house
yeah,
or
it was like
something?
one of like DeBay's the producer, like in that entourage, and it's like a new house, really nice, but it's empty. There's nothing inside, and there's like just G wagons outside. He goes in to clean it, and there's like babies all over the floor, and like it's just like ghetto ass out. There's like packs of weed in the corner.
Oh my goodness. Sweet old North Carolina. And Bobby, can I say his full name? Do you think people will care? Do you think he'll care?
Nah, he won't care.
Bobby, in my opinion, has one of the coolest names ever. His name is Bobby Rice, which is just like chef's kiss. And he's, I mean, I'm not sure what he gets up to all now, but he was like super big into skateboarding growing up. And from, I mean, I never had seen him do it personally, but I knew that he did it. He has the look and the clothes he wears and stuff. And apparently he was pretty good at it. And he did like a vlogging YouTube channel with another guy who did skateboarding, whose name is Ty Moss. And I don't think he uploads anymore, right?
Nah, I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't upload anymore, but the him Bobby and Ty used to do like skateboarding stuff and vlog it. And did they go on trips and stuff?
Uh, I know Ty did. Bobby went on a few. I think he went to like Wrightsville Beach one time.
Yeah, stuff like that. So maybe another inkling or seed of why Tyler was interested in it, seeing the big brother do it or something like that. But Bobby is like, oh my gosh, that would be somebody that would be cool to get him on talking. He is so funny, dude. He's got so many stories. He's like Mr. Cool too. He's just very laid back, very relaxed. And then we have Tyler.
Yeah, and there's me. At least I'm better than Brody.
Yeah, we won't even. Well, maybe
don't
we
bring him
will.
Oh, God.
I don't know. Um, so Tyler and I met in first grade. Do you remember us like doing a bunch of stuff together in first grade at all, or was it just kind of like we knew of each other?
I remember like drawing or something along those lines. That's about it.
So Tyler and I were super into drawing, and which is a cool thing. That's great, creative, trying to do things, whatever. I don't know if it's the same for other people or if it's even the same now, but we had this program at our schools called AR, Accelerated Reading, and you would have to, so every 9 weeks was cut into quarters, and you would have to read books and take tests on them. And then, so let's say you read, I don't know, Old Yeller, Harry Potter. People don't know who Old
Yeah.
Yeller is, Harry Potter. Let's say you read a Harry Potter book. Then after you get done reading it, you have to answer 20 questions on a test. And then you take the test, and depending on how good you are or did, is how many points you get for it. So then you have to meet
Yeah.
like an AR goal to get by. And then once you accumulate those points and things, they have AR parties. Like maybe we go skating or we have a pizza party and stuff like that. So everybody was doing that. And me and Tyler would, I mean, we would still do enough to meet the goal, but we were always sitting in class and rather be drawing than meeting the goal.
Do we
Yeah.
we're gonna keep it like still near first grade there, or are we gonna bring up good old Pullman?
Well, is there anything else from there that you want to say, or do you want to? I'm just going
I
through
think
the
it's
years.
the only thing I remember is like it's not even relating to you. I got I won the money when we did the Easter egg hunt, and everybody was like calling me out saying I cheated. I was like, bruh, it was
With the
right at the
gold
door. I
egg,
found it.
the gold
Yeah,
egg,
bro. I was like,
yeah.
you're just bad. Skill issue.
I used to be obsessed with Legos growing up. Super big Lego guy, and a mutual friend of ours. We had kind of spoken about him before that we don't talk to him anymore and stuff. uh, I remember meeting him before Tyler, and I used to be subscribed to this magazine, like the Lego magazine that would come out, I don't know, once a month, once every 3 months of like whatever new Lego sets were coming out and stuff like that. And I remember instead of reading the AR books and doing what you were supposed to, me and this other guy would sit down and just like look through this magazine of Legos for hours. And it's like nothing changed, nothing was different, but we just loved looking at the pictures and trying to get whatever Lego sets or what we'd ask for Christmas and stuff like that. So that's like a wholesome W elementary school moment.
W's in the chat.
W's in the chat. Second grade, we didn't have any classes together. We were also, for the record, because this will probably come in handy later on, we grew up in a town where like whoever you had in your grade level in elementary school or pre-K, like you graduated high school with those people. There was
Yeah.
Everybody went to the same elementary school, everybody went to the same middle school, everybody went to the same high school. Once we
I got a little
graduated,
different high school.
yeah, once we got towards graduating, they had built a new school. Some people split up, but for the most part, I would say like 75, maybe 80% of
Yeah.
the people you went to elementary school with, you were with them all the way up until you graduated. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, second grade we didn't have any classes or anything together, and then third grade we had together. What do you remember from that? Was there anything specifically? I have like one thing I can kind of think of.
I know you're the one who taught me about Harry Potter or that.
Oh yeah, I was heavy into Harry Potter. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, Christian's 8 years old and he's reading Harry Potter. He's literally a child prodigy.
You got me to read all the books by the time I was like done with fifth grade.
Yep, got Tyler into it. I remember a weird like one-off memory of Tyler. is I remember at the back of the playground there were honeysuckles growing up against the
Oh
fence.
yeah.
And I remember Tyler just one day being like, you can like, this is good as he was like, you can suck off of these, right? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, there's like actually honey in them. Like they're called honeysuckles. Like you can get honey out of them. And I was like, what?
Yep.
And we were just like two crack fiends at the back of the
Dude, they're
playground,
good, bro.
sucking off of honeysuckles, getting the honey out of
That's
honeysuckles.
a southern delicacy right there.
That is a certified Southern
It,
classic if
hey,
I've ever heard.
natural, bro. That's natural sugar.
Yeah, non-GMO, natural. We were healthy before it was
Pure.
even a thing.
I know the pure stuff.
Um, I don't know if Tyler did it, but we had another guy that we had class with where we would do like playing Harry Potter and we chase each other around the.
No, I mean we did that.
Did you do? Okay,
I
chase each
remember that.
other around the
Yeah,
playground with like sticks and say they were
yeah.
wands and
That's why you taught me
saying,
all the spells or whatever.
yeah,
That sounds so weird when you're older, but it's different when
yeah,
you're younger.
yeah, just yelling nonsense at each other and then teachers are like thinking we're trying to hit each other with sticks and stuff. They had so many weird things they wouldn't allow. They wouldn't let people play with Pokemon cards, which
Oh yeah,
I did
that was
not get.
weird.
Like the abstinence of Pokemon cards was like so stringent. I don't get that. Um
I remember. This is weird too. I remember they were also weird about that. And then you remember Dylan? What was his name? He was like the really short one.
yeah,
It's
I know
kind
what
of
you're
like
talking
redneck.
about. Yeah.
We were playing basketball and I like got around him and he just jumps on my back like a spider monkey and the teachers are just staring at me and he's like holding on. I'm like, are y'all gonna do something? And then he finally just dropped off and nothing happened, bro. I was like, what?
So kids could climb all over you and wrestle you to the ground, but God forbid if you had a Pokemon card, that was unacceptable.
Dude, I was lucky it was him because he was short as shit. If it was anybody else, I would have gone to the ground.
Yeah. Third grade, trying to reach into the recesses of my mind. I think that's about
Snack
it.
time went hard.
Snack
Snack time went
time.
hard.
Gotta love it.
I know we had the late lunch. That's what sucked.
Dude, I had a terrible time learning my times tables. My mom was
Oh, you
like,
did?
"Oh my!" She was one of those moms where it was like, "It's this easy. Like, how could you not learn it?" And I was
Yeah,
like, "Cause because you're telling me that doesn't make me learn it any better."
yeah.
I had a heck of a time with the nines. Couldn't do the nines.
And I only had a problem with the 12 for some reason because it got weird at the end. Like with
Yeah,
the when you do 12 times 12 and all that.
yeah. Heck of a time with the times tables. That was. I'd rather not revisit that memory for too long. Fourth
Yeah.
grade, we didn't have
Oh,
anything.
you didn't ice cream party for the times tables, did you?
I did. I got it. There was one
Yeah.
day left to do it. And on the very last day, I did it and I got it and I got the ice cream party. I was not
That's what
one
I'm
of the
talking about.
chumps that had to stay in the room and not have fun.
W's in the chat.
So many.
Sick
Literally
boy
all of
learns
them.
times.
Sick boy learns his nines. Fourth grade. Don't really remember. I'm
Wasn't
trying
that?
to. Fourth grade.
My fourth grade wasn't that crazy.
Fifth grade.
I got heavy into Minecraft fifth grade. I know that.
I don't remember what year would that have been? Fifth grade.
20, 2013, 2014.
Okay, so fourth and fifth grade. Yeah, I was getting into it. I didn't. None of my family came from like a gaming background or anything. Like the biggest console we ever had growing up was a Wii. And then when I wanted to play Minecraft, I had to use my mom's laptop, which barely ran. So I was like barely able to play Minecraft. And then my favorite, a contender for my favorite game of all time. It's between two games. Uh, it's not Minecraft, but the Minecraft led to this game was Terraria. I
Oh, good
love
game.
Terraria, dude. Such a good game. I played that a lot growing up.
I wish we could make videos on it, but it's just not enough to like get funny moments or anything. It's just like it's
Yeah,
like a grind game.
yeah. I don't think anybody would be too interested in watching it. My since you guys asked, I know you're wondering. My contenders for favorite game of all time is between COD 4, the very first Modern Warfare, the original, and Terraria. Those two games grew up on those. My mom wouldn't let me have an Xbox growing up, so the only Call of Duty game that was available for the Wii was COD 4, and I played the piss out of that. I played it so much, loved it. And then when they remastered it, I was like the happiest guy in the world. Loved it.
Solid picks.
What are yours? What childhood? If there's any childhood games or
I don't know about childhood, just Minecraft and like Black Ops, but like games of all time. Uh, I'd go Minecraft for one, and the second one's kind of like a blasphemous take for anybody who plays these like series of games. But I didn't like. There's this game called Crusader Kings, and pretty much in that community, CK is Crusader Kings. CK2 was kind of like considered it's like the peak. It's like the best like version. And I didn't play that. I got into it when the third one came out, and that's considered like the lesser. It's not as good, but I've probably put like damn near 600 hours into Crusader Kings 3, and I have to put that one up there. The replayability is so much fun, and they keep adding DLCs and
that's
that I keep
your
buying.
that's your top two all time?
Yeah, dude, I love that game so
Okay.
much.
If
It got me
we
into all medieval stuff.
if we had the receipts of Tyler's hours of Minecraft on the 360, oh buddy.
Yeah,
Whoa,
that's
buddy.
I literally it'd be like I'd come home from school and play until like 1 a.m. pretty much
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Tyler and our other childhood friend, who I would say Tyler and him were closer, and then I came into the picture a little bit later on. Well, we kind of all knew each other, but out of the three of us, those two were
Mhm.
closer at the beginning. Him and Tyler played so much Minecraft, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if there's
For
a
a
way you could
while,
check your hours to see it.
probably I'd have to dig. The funny thing is when we would play like for a long time, we would we'd make a different world each day and like just grind it and go crazy
Oh
and
my
then make a new one
gosh.
the next day. Like we
Yeah.
get full diamond and like it was like a rinse and repeat. I can't tell you the like amount
Addiction.
of different like the amount of different worlds there are.
Um, so yeah, that's us at fourth and fifth grade. Sixth grade, we didn't have a class together, but
In the sixth grade, we started like hanging out though,
yeah,
somewhat.
sixth grade
I
is when
remember
we
that.
started hanging out more often. Um,
That summer before seventh grade was like crazy BO2. Like we played that
yeah,
religiously.
as we'd mentioned in the first episode, we played. I am huge into Call of Duty Search and Destroy. I love Search and Destroy. I think that's why I love CS:GO so much. And we played a bunch of multiplayer because who didn't play a lot of Black Ops 2 multiplayer? And then that's when we started our addiction with zombies and playing Origins and Buried and stuff like that. We played a lot of Black Ops
Yeah.
2.
And then seventh grade was BO3, right?
Yep, seventh grade was Black
Yeah.
Ops 3. So we were friends up through elementary school and still hung out and stuff. But then
Yeah.
as you get older, you're able to spend more time together and hang out and things. So sixth grade, we got pretty close. Seventh grade, we ended up having the same class together. So we were like essentially inseparable because, we were best friends, close friends, whatever you want to say. And then we ended up having a class together. And that class was, dude,
Probably best
goaded,
top.
so
Yeah.
goaded. That class,
Every
people,
day. Every day was a freaking. I don't even know. It's
we could
crazy
have a
every day.
podcast about the entire seventh grade year that we had. It was crazy. It was a lot of people hated middle school and then liked high school. I was the opposite. I would go back and do middle school in a heartbeat, but then high school, I didn't really care too much for high school. Our seventh grade year was so much fun, dude.
Yeah.
Do you want to? You brought up Mr. Pullman. Do you want to talk about Mr. Pullman now?
Oh, okay. We had probably the most robotic math teacher I've ever seen in my life.
Just a
Like
sad man.
he would talk in like this tone. He would go over the lecture like this and how he learned
Yeah,
was
totally
literally he would just
monotone.
pull up he would teach math and just pull up slideshows like it's college. And we're he's trying to teach us algebra. This is the first year of algebra. No one knows what the heck he's talking about. Like why are there letters here? I didn't learn algebra until 8th grade and you were supposed to learn it then.
Mr. Pullman
And it
was very boring, very monotonous, very monotone.
but it was almost comical.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. And he was from freaking
Michigan, I'm pretty
Michigan,
sure.
and he was a Lions fan, so it just added to the story of him being like this miserable sad guy, and then he's a Lions fan and they are absolutely terrible. They've been terrible forever. and it just, oh, he was never happy. And he was probably in his what, like probably late 20s, right?
Yeah, late 20s, early 30s.
He was this tall, skinny white guy in his late 20s, and when he would get mad, he would start voice cracking. So
Yeah.
like we we had another mutual friend whose name was Josue, and
Yeah,
he
Jose.
would like start getting mad at Josue and be like, if I have to tell you one more time, his voice, dude, his voice would start cracking,
His
and
voice was cracking more than us when we were in middle school.
oh
That
my
tells you
goodness,
anything.
and you could never take him seriously, dude. And um I just lost my train of thought, but you just could not take him seriously. When he would get mad at you, it's not like he was, I don't say this to demean him, but not very like super manly and like authoritative. Like he'd get mad at you and he wouldn't be looking at you in the eyes or talking to you. You know, when someone kind of gets
Yeah.
mad at you and they look around you or they look at the ground or something, he's like voice cracking and then looking off to your left. And it's like, what's even happening right now? It's just so weird.
And then we gotta go Mr. Beaver, who was the most shredded social studies teacher I've ever seen.
We had probably a 5'9".
He's my height. Yeah, he's my height for
Yeah.
sure.
You're 5'9", right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
5'9".
He was like 5'9" and ripped. And he was our social studies teacher. Like he could probably tear a phone book in half. He was
Yeah, but he was like the
shredded.
nicest guy.
Oh, such a teddy bear. Yeah, he's like the nicest guy in the world. And we had a social studies class with him. And I don't want to say we were in like the quote unquote dumb kids class,
I
but
think it's just average.
yeah, it was
Well,
like the average.
no, we did have some stupid people in
We
there.
had some
Josue,
knuckleheads,
but
the troublemakers. And two things that I remember from being in that class is we were going through World War II, and there was a picture of the Star of David, like the patch that the Jewish people would wear on their shirts, and it was up on the smart board. Shout out if you had smart boards. And Mr. Beaver is like, does anybody know what this symbol means? And Josue like raises his hand super fast and he's like super excited. And he's like, yes, Josue. And he goes, oh, that's from the Illuminati, right? And everybody like the typical like the Simpsons meme where like everybody's pointing at Bart and laughing at him. Like
yeah,
everyone turns around and is pointing at Jose and or Josue and laughing in his face.
yeah, that was a clown point. That
And
was bad.
we had another, oh, I forgot about clown points. We'll get to that. And then we had another classmate named Kaysen. And well, Tyler has a different story for him, but the story I go to for him is Mr. Beaver was talking about Neanderthals and cavemen and stuff. And he was like, yeah, whatever, essentially whatever they ate, that's what they would use for clothing. Like, buffalo or cows, and they'd use their skin to make clothing and stuff. And then Kaysen just, not yells out, but says it loud enough that he can hear him. He was like, oh, well, if I was a caveman, all my clothes would be made out of booty. And like a seventh grader is saying that. And Mr. Beaver was just like, out, get out of my class, leave.
Yeah.
What's the one that you have for him?
Mine's not. It's more funny when you're like there and like in middle school when
Okay, that's
he
fine.
meant to say like prosecution and he said prostitution. Everybody just lost it.
Once
Like,
again,
you
like
gotta
a
be there.
12-year-old saying that is just like so jarring.
Yeah.
I think if anything else interesting happened, the English teacher was kind of old. Not much happened in her class.
I am. Yeah.
And
And
then
Robinson's old too.
was that her name? Was Robbins?
Robinson.
Robinson, yeah. She was super nice. She would call all of us, once again, like 12-year-old kids. She'd call us all by our last names and be like, Mr., Smith, or, the kid's name
Oh
might be
yeah.
Jeffrey or I don't know, Fred or something. She'd be like, yes, Mr. Smith. Like treating everybody with respect when you're stupid little kids. And everybody loved her. She was super nice, super respectful woman. There was a time where something happened where I admitted that she graded one of my papers wrong. I was like, oh, you didn't, I just want to let you know you didn't do this right. And yeah, I think you should fix it or whatever. And she was like, oh, well, you know what? Since you were honest about it, you can keep that grade. And I was like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
She was pretty nice. It's just, gosh, it's one of those things where you think about it and you can't think of stuff. And then, later on tonight, we'll both be like, oh, do you remember that? Or, oh,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of more crazy things that happened. Oh, our Spanish teacher was a super, super nice lady. What was her? Fen?
Yeah, Miss Finn.
Yeah, she was really nice. And I had a class where these two guys were beefing in our Spanish class, and you could tell they were just dying to
Oh,
fight
you were
each
there.
other.
You
Yeah,
were there for
yeah,
that?
I was there for that.
Oh,
They were dying to fight each other. And because this is when like smartwatches are coming around and kids would use them to text each other, or, you're not on your phone, but you're on your watch, trying to get away with it, whatever. So this kid, his name's Vaughn, he's just dying to fight this other kid. I wish I could remember who the other
was it
person
Dalton?
was. It might have been Dalton. Yeah. He's dying to fight Dalton. So he goes to the bathroom, says he has to go to the bathroom, and he like texts his mom or something. He's like, hey, I'm going to get in trouble. But this kid, I don't know if he was saying something bad about, I don't remember what the situation was, but he essentially asked his
Yeah,
mom for permission to beat this guy up. And
yeah.
she was like, yeah, I'll come pick you up when you get in trouble, blah, 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 whatever. I guess, whatever. So they come back in the room, and that is the first time I had ever been in a class where like people are fighting each other and like going at, like, I'm able to witness a school fight happen.
Yeah.
So Vaughn has glasses on, and he comes in, and him and the other guy, he walks in the room, he goes up to the dude, and as he's sitting down, just starts beating the piss out of him, and they both just start beating each other up. And these are like, for seventh grade 12, 13-year-old boys, they're kind of big fellas, and they're like,
Yeah, they're big.
they're really putting some swings in. And Vaughn eventually gets punched really hard, and he hits his glasses. So I'm on the far end of the room towards the back, and they're in the front. He gets hit so hard that his glasses fly off his face, slide across the floor, and they land like right down by my feet. So the fight happens. And this is a funny bit to it. We had a teacher, Tyler. What did Mr. Piercy do? What was that
I
class?
don't remember.
It's like career development or something.
Yeah, something like that. Something
Like a career
useless.
development class. He was another guy. He was a preacher as like his full time job, and he was just shredded, like 6'2", maybe 6 feet. Very muscular guy. Very like he would yell at you and like everybody's quiet and stops talking. Like very authoritative. He's at one end of the hallway of the building we're in, and then at the other end is another guy named Mr. McCannon, who is like a short, skinny, homosexual guy, like very gay, like high pitched voice. If a spider gets on the desk, he'll like start screaming, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So then, like the two kids are fighting, and Miss Fenn's like, "Hurry, someone go get Mr. McCannon." And he comes in the room and he's like, boys, stop fighting. You have to stop this. And of course, they're not going to listen to him or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why we went to go get him over Mr. Piercy. So then they both get done fighting. They finally get pulled off of each other. And then Vaughn's like, what happened to my glasses? Anyone see my glasses? And I was like, they're right here, Vaughn. And I pick them up and give them to him. And he got punched so hard that the arms of his glasses are like on the right side, one of them's pointing upwards, and then on the left side, the other one's like pointing outwards, like not touching his face. So neither one of the arms are actually holding to his ears, holding his face. And he was like, thanks, Christian, I appreciate that. And he puts his glasses on, and the arms are just like facing in these crazy directions, and like a lens is broken and stuff. I'll never forget
Yeah.
that. I thought that was super funny when that happened.
I never was in person for a fight. This makes
You've
me sad.
never been at a fight at school?
I mean, I slapboxed Jake one time. That was about it.
But you never had two guys just like,
Nah, I always
oh
missed it. I
man.
always be like 10 minutes before, 10 minutes
Oh,
after.
I had a
So
few.
like, I
Um,
don't know.
so that's
I guess I was.
seventh
I mean,
grade.
that's all my. Remember the shooting at my college? I was literally just missed it. Literally about like 5 minutes.
Well, you can't bring
Always
that
had
up and not
10 minutes.
explain it. So,
I'll do it later when we get through the
okay,
years.
when we get through, okay, we'll get there. Put a pin in it. So seventh grade. Trying to think of anything else that happened in seventh. Oh, that was the 1 year I did not make the AR goal, and I did not go to the AR party. Did you go? Or was it just me that got?
Yeah,
Okay.
just being Adam.
So I got left behind because I like to draw in class. I was like, AR is stupid. This is like, don't force me to read books. That's part of the reason, like, I
Edgy
don't
middle
like.
schooler.
Exactly. That's part of the reason why I don't like reading books now, is because when you're forced to read them, it's like, it's not as enjoyable. Um, so yeah, that was a big L for tiny Christian back in the day, not making the AR party
Yeah.
and being one of the bums that didn't get to go to the skating rink. Eighth grade was another. Oh my gosh, dude! It's like, I don't know if you guys have had it happen when you get the trouble kids in your class and they just get in trouble and it's funny and you feed into it. And I just had the funniest guys, man. My class was really, really funny. Did
Ours was pretty good too.
Was it seventh grade when Miss Taylor broke the thing over her knee?
No, I was 8th grade. That was our class.
Okay, yeah, tell that story about the gym and Jesse.
So same. I don't know what about 8th grade, but I guess they must like his class had a bunch of troublemakers and mine did. It's like they centralized them. And they were pissing this teacher off named Miss Taylor so much. Like, I don't know what they were doing, but apparently she literally just started screaming and broke like a clipboard over her knee and was like freaking the fuck out. It was a whole thing.
And then the thing when was it still her when Jesse threw the football?
Oh, yeah, 6th grade. Literally, so we were in the gym, like, because I guess it was raining outside or whatever, and they had a football. It was like for recess, and this kid named Jesse Ryan, who's like a really goofy looking skinny kid. It's just he throws a football and it hits Miss Taylor right in the chest while she's holding a cup of like hot coffee, and it spills all over her. And then she just starts crying. It was a whole oh man.
Oh,
It was very
I mean, it's not funny, but it's just you have to know
it's kind of
Jesse is
funny.
just like this ADHD riddled. He's so funny, and just the thought of him launching a football, hitting a teacher, coffee spills on her, and then it makes her cry. And like as a middle school kid, it's terrible, but you think that's funny that
Everybody's
yeah. I mean,
everybody's biting their lips, bro. Everybody's like red
yeah.
faced trying not to laugh.
Everybody's trying not to laugh in her face. We made a huge mistake, Tyler. We didn't talk about the DC trip.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so in
Yeah.
seventh grade, our school finally, I don't know what initiated it, but finally went on this big trip to Washington because all the field trips were like 20 minutes down the road, something stupid like that. So we finally take this big trip to go to Washington, and it was me, Tyler, Dylan, and I've been refraining from saying his name. Should I just say his name?
I said his name earlier.
Okay, so the guy that I talked about from first grade, who we were friends with, dude in the first episode who we played zombies with, his name was Adam. We were like the core four of friends. It was me, Dylan, Tyler, Adam. We were together for this trip to go to DC. We'd share a room together. We rode together on the bus all the way there. Stuff like that. Partner system, whatever you want to say. So for whatever reason,
Oh my god.
Tyler was in a terrible mood.
Dude, the thing was I wasn't like mad or sad. I guess I was just quiet. There's nothing wrong with me.
I don't know if it's, you're a kid, middle school's weird years. You're growing, you get into weird
Maybe I had like
moods.
a freaking wherever I got like a hormone spike. I don't
Yeah,
fucking know.
that may have been the case. Tyler was in a terrible mood the whole trip. Like we tried to talk to you, like, huh, mm-hmm. Like one word answers. Didn't really want to talk much. Wasn't laughing. Wasn't being all crazy. So, but we went on this trip, which was awesome. I haven't been to DC since, but I'd really like to. I had a really good time. We got to go to all these cool museums.
I had a good time.
You still had a good time, but you just weren't outwardly showing it. If that's the way to
Yeah.
put it, that's the better way to put it.
I guess.
Um, and the teachers gave us like these Google generated phone numbers if we needed something to get in contact with them. For some
I forgot
reason,
about that.
the guy who was our leader, Mr. Beaver, we talked about earlier, his phone number had 666 in it. So everybody thought that was funny. Like, oh, Mr. Beaver, you're the devil. Who cares?
Yeah.
So we went there. And mind you, this was in 2016. So we're going on a trip to Washington
Oh
during the
yeah.
height of the Trump and
Prime.
Hillary election cycle. And that's going to come in play later. So we go on this trip. We have a really good time. We go to the Washington Monument, the giant obelisk, which if you've never been, that thing is way bigger than it looks. It's super cool. It's like stupid tall. And we
Yeah,
went
and
there.
Adam. So or is this like a crime if we say this? I didn't do it.
I mean, it's gone by now.
All right. Well, our friend Adam, don't say his last name.
Yeah,
He might
don't
get picked
incriminate
up by
him.
the feds. He literally had like a lead pencil and drew a swastika on the Washington Monument.
Oh, I didn't know
Like,
that.
yes, dude. I
Oh
was like,
my
what the fuck,
gosh.
dude?
For some reason, my memory was he had a pen and he wrote Trump in
Oh,
uppercase.
he was a swastika, dude.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Words and words.
Yeah, we were such cool, edgy teenagers.
Yeah.
There's like I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Washington Mall or something. and there was like, remember the food court and stuff that we went to?
Yeah, it was sick.
So before we went on the trip, everybody was told to bring cash because if you're going to take your parents' card or something, you don't want to lose it and people steal the info or whatever because you're a stupid kid
Yeah.
and you're going to lose it. So, everybody took cash, and there were a lot of homeless people that would walk through the mall and things like that. And they were like,
Yeah.
whatever you do, don't give money to the homeless people. So it was me, Dylan, and there was a girl that I liked at the time whose name was Ashley. And we were sitting down eating, and this homeless lady came up to us on crutches, and she had probably 3 teeth. And she was like, "Hey, if you give me $5, I'll do a rap for you. I'll rap for you and make a song for you." And I was like, "I want to see this three-toothed homeless crippled lady rap for me." So I gave
Entertain me.
entertain me, peasant, while I eat my food, jester. So she came up and I wish we had recorded it or I can remember what she said, but it was hilarious. It was so funny. So POV, you're standing looking at a table with 3 12-year-olds and a homeless lady who's definitely on crack on crutches
In Washington, D.C.
in Washington, rapping, freestyle rapping to like 3 12-year-olds. It was, dude, that is another thing I will never forget. It was so funny. And then she left and she was like, "Thank you, God bless you, blah blah blah." She definitely went to go buy some crack like immediately
worked.
after.
You work for that money, though.
The rent was due, as the kids
Yeah.
say. The rent was due. And then after that, Ashley was like, "Wait, aren't we supposed to not give money to them?" And I was like, "I do not care. That is the best $5 I have ever spent in my life."
You just bought that homeless lady crack.
I just
That's
got
$12
her dinner,
A rock.
her crack dinner. Trying to think of what else. While we were there, the only like downside is it was overcast and rainy like the
Yeah.
entire time. So we would go on like night tours and we saw the World War II monuments and stuff like that. But it's not the same when it's raining and it's cold and you're a whiny
We were
12-year-old.
experiencing their weather that they went through
Yeah, it was
while
like
looking at the monuments.
super bad weather. It was really lame. And then a game that we had played during the time there was like who can get the most pictures, like selfies in with Mr. Beaver without letting him know. So we had a contest where we would all keep taking selfies and like be right behind him or right next to him and get selfies taken and see if he would notice or, who would have the greatest tally afterwards. And Mr. Beaver was like a super cool guy. And at the end of it, we had this really funny picture. Do you remember that one when he's looking to the side and you can just see like his nose sticking out from his profile?
Yeah.
So then at the end of it, we were like, "Hey, Mr. Beaver, look at this like fun little game we did, and you didn't know, and ha ha ha." And instead of it being funny, he's like, "Ah, you guys," he was kind of freaked out. He was like,
Yeah. He was kind
Oh.
of disgusted. He's like, "Oh,
"You've been taking pictures and selfies of me for 4 days without me knowing."
Now that you say it out loud, it does sound kind of
Yeah, it is. I mean,
creepy."
that wasn't the intent, but
Yeah.
it does sound kind of weird. That was also right like after Prince had died, so we got to go to a museum where they had like his guitar and his clothes and stuff, which was pretty cool. The Space Center was cool. Getting to eat like
Yeah.
the space ice cream and seeing the rocket ships and stuff like that was cool. Is there anything else I'm missing, Tyler, that we can't think of?
Golden Corral.
Oh my goodness. Imagine taking like 120 middle schoolers to a Golden Corral.
The
And
worst people to bring.
I don't even think I have to explain that to you. But one funny thing that did happen, the English teacher's name was Mrs. Gray, right?
Yeah.
So if you've been to a Golden Corral, they might be different. Maybe they've been renovated. But back then it used to be you would sit at a table and then to the right of you or left of you would be like a window pane. And then on the other side of that would be a table. And me, Adam, Dylan, and Tyler are eating our food and being silly and whatever. And Adam pulls out a pickle from his food. And he's like, "Oh, I hate pickles. I don't like pickles." And he throws the pickle like with some force, like a frisbee toss, like throws it against the pane of glass. And you just hear like the like slap of it hitting the glass. And then it sticks there. And we're like laughing and we think it's so funny. And then behind the pickle coming up from the bottom of the window frame is just Miss Gray's face. And she's like stone cold serious staring at Adam. And she just starts like shaking her head like disapprovingly. And then Adam has to like get the pickle and like wipe it off the window and put it back on his plate.
Oh man.
So they're 7th. We had to go back for the DC
Yeah,
trip.
yeah,
Eighth grade.
that's a
Back to eighth
man,
grade.
a bunch of troublemakers for literally like I don't know why this was a thing. This kid in my class would literally grab like the $300 calculators, and we were on a second story, and just throw them out the window,
Oh yeah, I
and they
remember that.
never caught them.
Yeah.
Like probably damn near broke $1,000 worth of
Yeah,
calculators.
we had a two-story school and all the eighth graders were on the second story. And for some reason that was just like, the funniest thing in the world was seeing a
Yeah.
window that's just open and then seeing an object fly out of it and just not knowing what happens to the object. And I had some pretty big troublemakers in my class, and like we had very old teachers that were all women, except for one guy, Mr. Todd. He was a little bit older. And like the teacher, Miss Stowe, was our math teacher. She like turned around on the smart board to write something, and we had these two guys named, well, I don't want to say their full names, but Trey and Trayvon, and they would get these Texas Instrument calculators that are like $300 a piece, and they would just throw them back and forth to each other across the room, and it was like hot potato, like whoever drops it gets in trouble. And eventually it would go from tossing to like baseball pitching, like throwing them. And if you stuck your head up, like you were gonna lose, you're gonna get
You
brain damage or lose a
yeah.
tooth. Or and one time they were like throwing them super hard at each other, and they were like, I mean, this is like a pitcher and a catcher practicing, warming up for a game. And one of them, like Trey, puts up his hands like he's gonna catch it, and then he like puts his hands down and sits down in his seat real quick, and then like pretends like he wasn't doing anything, and it hits the wall and it makes a super big bang. And then Miss Stowe turns around, she's like, "What was that? What's happening?" And she's like, "Why won't any of you tell me what's going on?" And when she turns to go look at somebody else, Trey picks up the calculator and just like throws it out of the window. Like frisbee tosses, just sends it out the window, and you can just hear it like crack and break on the sidewalk outside. It's so bad.
Dude, you're the gaslighting your teacher. She's gonna come back. There's a calculator over here. No, there wasn't. What are you talking about?
Oh my goodness, poor Miss Stowe. Her being an older lady, they would gaslight the mess out of her. It was so funny. They used to
I have a
torment her.
I have a similar thing. We were all sitting by like a window. It was me, Dylan, and this other dude named Jake. And when the window was open, and it's like the end of class, we're talking, and this other kid walks by, has like a plastic protractor. It was gonna throw it like in between us and try to out the window to kind of freak us out. He misses, and it shatters against the window, just gets all in our hair. The teacher turns around, "What was that?" And he just keeps walking. He's like, "I don't know." And it was the funniest shit
Playing
because
it
we were
off.
like, "Bro, we're over here having like PTSD. Like there's shattered like plastic everywhere. It's in our hair." And she didn't even do anything. She was like, "Oh, okay." And we're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, we were the worst class of kids that probably went through that middle school. It was terrible.
We got banned from the lunchroom.
Yeah, we so our lunchroom, it was super echoey because the school was built in like the 30s or early
30s,
40s. Yeah,
20s.
30s I think. And the lunchroom was initially, or still is, or was, because that school doesn't exist anymore, was intended to be a bomb shelter for like
Yeah.
nuclear war, like the 40s and 50s, like nuclear warfare and stuff. So the lunchroom is a giant fallout shelter, and they just used it as a lunchroom. So then I don't know, we had these cardboard cartons for milk, and if you opened it up, you drink the stuff, the milk inside. When you fold it back and make it completely closed, and it's like a perfect cube, like the top isn't sticking up where you can drink out of it and stuff. If you stomp on it, it makes a really big boom sound or like popping sound. So there was a day when I'm not really sure who started it, but
It
someone.
was our table.
Okay, so
It was Alex.
Tyler's table of juveniles folded up the cardboard carton, and stomped on it, and it made a big sound. It's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And then every other 13-year-old in the room was like, "Oh, that's a fun sound." So then there was a day where like everybody together, it was like a coordinated attack. It was like the 9/11 of our middle school,
Yeah.
and everybody drank their milk, and then like at one time put them all down and stomped on them, and it sounded like a war zone, dude. It was like boom, 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 boom. And then because it's in this secluded room, it's like super echoey, like the sound can't escape or anything. It's like something from a movie. Like you wouldn't even believe that it, like what I'm telling you right now is even something real. And it was, yeah, so that's what he means when people got banned is after that they would segment the lunches so that we couldn't eat together anymore because they couldn't trust us.
No, dude, our class never went back. Like we had to eat
Oh,
in the
okay.
classroom.
Tyler lost permanent lunchroom
Yeah.
privileges, but they had to like
And
separate lunches. That's the point.
and we have to cap it off. Just show you how bad this grade was. The last day of school, we're all about to get out. The bell rings, and someone pulls the fire alarm,
Oh
and
yeah.
everybody just starts running. And all the chairs are stacked up in the hallway because it's the end of the school year. Everybody starts knocking them down. It literally was like
Terrible, dude.
terrible.
So bad. We're probably what made them decide to close that school down. They were just
Yeah,
like, enough of
literally,
this.
everybody. I remember. I think Kanan did. I think this was Kanan. It sounded like him when we ran by. Who was the assistant principal, whatever, that had the braces?
Oh yeah, she was like like a 70-year-old lady with braces, and she had a lisp.
And
What
she
was
was
her
like,
name?
"Everybody, slow down!" And we run it by. I just hear Kenny go, "Fuck you!" And he just keeps running.
Yeah, we had a the primary principal, the principal of the school. Her name was Miss Redmond, and everybody loved her. And then the assistant principal was an older lady. She had braces. She had a lisp, and which doesn't mean that people should have been mean to her and stuff. But terrible little demon middle schoolers were mean to her and stuff like that. I wish I could remember her name. It was really weird too, right? Oh, Miss Omen.
Yeah, yeah.
Miss Omen. Yeah. Trying to think of more stuff that happened in middle school. Just a bunch of little stories. I'm sure they'll come up over time and things like that. But the small town that we've grown up in and our experiences going to school and the things that have happened where we've grown up. My fiance, she moved here and she lives here now. She says that it's like a Hallmark town. Like it's like something from a movie. Like Tyler's parents have lived here for generations. Everybody
Yeah.
moves into a house and they never leave it. Like they never sell it. They just pass it down to their kids and stuff like that. And it's like something from a movie or a book. Like it's a
Yeah.
cute little place, and the stories we have from school are just so funny. Trying,
We haven't even got to high school.
yeah, I'm trying to think of anything more from middle school before I move on. I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we'll move on from there. I'm sure more stuff will come up over time. So ninth grade was my last year of the town that we lived in because my last 3 years of high school, my parents wanted to move to Florida, so I lived there for technically 4 years because I went to the film school there and I only did that for a year. So I lived in Florida for 4 years. Went to my last 3 years of high school there, but we had ninth grade together here in the town that we are from. And ninth grade, what do you have from ninth grade?
Oh, like stories?
Yeah.
Um, I guess we can go off like I played like what I do. I did football. I did all right before going into high school. I played junior legion baseball. Then went straight into football. Then went straight into baseball after that. So I was like pretty much swamped the entire year. Nothing too funny came out of it.
Tyler's dad's a big sports guy. It was like if you weren't doing sports, you had to work. And Tyler at the time
That's actually
preferred
the reason.
sports.
I didn't prefer it. That's the reason I quit, to be honest.
Oh,
Actually,
just got
part
burned
of
out.
it's you. Part of it's you, actually.
A part of it's me for you not doing sports.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was at baseball practice. Our baseball practice lasted 3 hours, and it's like hot as a motherfucker. And we were doing the practice, and that was when you popped your lung, and I
Oh
couldn't even come see
yeah,
you because I had a game and
yeah, that's
practice the next
right.
day. And I was like, dog, I can't even like see my boy when he's dying in the hospital because of this shit, bro. What am I doing?
So there you go. That leads us into another story. I did not know that helped trigger your wanting to get out
Yeah,
of
I
baseball.
was really made me question. I was like, what am I doing this for?
So as I've kind of mentioned before in the first episode, I've been super into soccer, played it my whole life and stuff. I was playing on a team where we were playing a game. I almost said the name of the city. We were playing a game, and in soccer, when the goalie goes to get the goalie is the most protected person on the field. It's like super, you can't run into him. You can't kick the ball out of his hands. You can't rough, stuff like that. So when goalies go to catch the ball out of the air, they jump up and kind of like Superman, they like put one knee up So your two arms are extended to catch the ball up above you, and then you raise like your right knee, and then your left knee stays straight. So when you do that, your knee is up to protect your chest and your body from if someone comes to hit you and stuff like that. And then when you land, the purpose would be to land on your folded leg because you have some cushion from your thigh and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I used to play defense, and the ball was coming back to my goalie, and he was too far away. Like it was my job to take care of it. It wasn't for him to come all the way out and get it. And I'm looking behind me because the ball's coming over my shoulder. So I'm looking behind me. I'm running forward. The ball's coming from behind me, from behind my back. And I went to go like take a first touch or to kick it to, or settle it and play the game. And then my goalie came out, didn't say anything to me, didn't call out or anything, and jumped up to catch it with his knee how he was supposed to, and kneed me super hard in the chest, like crushed me. And I fell down and I was like, like I couldn't breathe and stuff. And I just thought I had the wind knocked out of me. And I wish I could remember his name. It was something stupid like Ruben or something like that. Of course it would be. But he was like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "Are you stupid? Like you couldn't tell me?" Or whatever. It's a whole thing. So then I get taken out of the game, and I'm like still having a super hard time breathing. And I'm like, man, I just cannot catch my breath. And I go over to my parents. I tell my coach, and he's like, maybe you should get that checked out or just go home early or something. I think we were already winning by a good amount. And I was like, okay, well, so I go to my parents, to my dad and my mom, and we start going home. And I'm like, I think I need to go to the emergency room. Like, I'm still having a really difficult time breathing. Nothing's like, I just don't feel, I know what it's like to have the wind knocked out of you, and this doesn't feel right. And my dad's like, "You're being a baby. Suck it up. We're going home." And my mom was like, "Well, maybe we should take him like just to the family doctor to see if it's okay." So my dad's like, "Okay, fine." So then we end up going to the family doctor. I get tested and stuff like that. And the nurse is like, "Yeah, you guys definitely need to go to the emergency room." And my dad's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, only one of his lungs is working. One of his lungs is completely deflated." So after that fun little surprise, I ended up going to the hospital and was there for a few days, and they had to reinflate me like a basketball. It's like those old fashioned like fireplace things where you like it's like an accordion and you push it and it
Yeah.
like makes the fire grow. They did that to my lung, so
Hmm.
didn't think that would be something that happened. But I was awake when they did the surgery because it wasn't like a major one, so they put shots in me to numb me. They put numbing gel on me, and then I got to watch the guy like cut me open and put this tube in me and stuff like that. So some people don't like that and it's gross, but I thought it was pretty cool to see that happen. So that's where Tyler's story from baseball. I never did you quit the team and then come see me?
No,
Or
I quit like over the summer after freshman year.
okay. But that was
I
like
did
the
junior legion.
first thought.
Yeah, I did junior legion again, and it was like so much. Like it's like a game every day, and I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, pass on that one. So yeah, that's I guess we've talked through all these years. You've never like broken a bone or anything crazy, right?
Nah, I've never had a major injury.
Yeah, I've had the lung happen. I sprained my pinky from playing soccer and basketball. I've sprained my ankle like I'm not even kidding, probably upwards of 15 times. And I've never
Yeah,
broken it, but I've sprained it like a million times. Um
I feel like I probably had a concussion and just never did anything about it, like doing football.
yeah, maybe didn't realize it or something. The weird story of spraining my pinky is me and our friend Grand FC that we've mentioned. We used to do a thing. He had a big grassy hill in his backyard, and we'd get in laundry baskets and cardboard boxes and like slide down the hill like we were sledding. And I did it, and when I was going down, my hand got caught underneath it and like messed it up real bad. I mean, I was pretty young too, so it like that hurts super bad. One of my pinkies is still fat from it. It's a little bit bigger than the other one, so it's still like that today. But I remember that being like, oh, in so much pain. With sprains, it's like you wish it would just break because then you can heal it and you move on. But then when
Yeah,
you sprain something, it's easier to sprain it later on, and you have problems, and it sucks.
just break your ankle. It's fine.
Yeah, might as well at that point. But back to ninth grade, you had baseball. Was there anything else that you said, or was that it?
Nah, it wasn't that eventful for me at least.
I had a body wellness class, which is like a weightlifting fitness class. that was once again goated with like all the trouble kids and stuff like that. So it was super fun to be in. Our friend Dylan was him and I were in it together with his brother actually, who was a few years older, but we were freshmen and he was a senior. So that was kind of cool to have. The stories I'm thinking of are like if you don't know the people and you don't know,
Yeah.
it's just not kind of the same. So it's
I didn't have that eventful of a high school thing anyways. It's kind of boring.
yeah, my freshman year was fun. I still had a good time. And then my last 3 years, I moved somewhere I didn't know anybody there. I didn't have any friends my last 3 years of high school. Uh, so that's why I didn't like high school. It was like low key depressing and just wasn't fun. And Tyler and Dylan and a friend or two more of ours would come fly to Florida to visit me and like over the summer and we'd hang out and stuff like that. So we always still kept in touch and things, but for the most part, just would rather forget about it. It wasn't super fun. We would play video games like all the time because I was somewhere else. Somewhere else. I'm choking up. I'm crying over here. Uh, Somewhere else. And that was when I got super big into Rocket League. That was another game I got super, super big into that I'm happy I'm not anymore because Rocket League would make me a different person. It was like Bruce Banner and Hulk.
Yeah, it's like you're bipolar. As soon as just Rocket League would just flip the switch, man.
It's like one of those games that when you win, you're on top of the world, but then when you lose it, you lose it. You lose your mind.
You want to put your head through the window.
Yeah, like I could.
You want to wrap your car around a tree.
Yeah, dude, Rocket League is not for the faint of heart. I spent so much time learning to get good at it too, and now it's like I can't even stand it. To play the game, just talking about it's upsetting me.
You that? I can't even talk. It's like that, but for me, it's Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I just get infuriated with it.
I think that might be enough for this episode. That was us just kind of talking about school more or less, or growing up together in school. For the next episode, Tyler, you're going to Wilmington this weekend?
Yeah.
So maybe he'll have some stories from Wilmington. And you could even share the one about the Waffle House that we talked about today. But we'll save
right
that.
now?
No, we can save that for
said-
next time because it's with that same group of
Yeah.
guys, right? So,
Yeah.
and then next episode, I have some Florida man stories from living in Florida. Tyler can attest that my time living there, it is like a real life GTA server.
Yeah.
I have got stories I will never forget. Really funny, crazy. They will be in the GTA 6 storyline mode. So yeah, probably next episode we'll talk. It'll be our beach theme. We'll talk about Wilmington. We'll talk about my time in Florida. Did you have anything else, Tyler, before we move on?
Just R.I.P. Petey. That's about it.
R.I.P. Petey. Fly high. Don't forget about him. So with that being said, that is the end of our episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will catch you in the next one. See ya.
Later.